Hi, my name is Charlie, and I'm here to talk about major depressive disorder, more commonly known as depression. Depression can be described very simply as a feeling of sadness and a loss in interest. Common symptoms of depression include a constant sad mood, a loss of interest or pleasure in activities that were once enjoyed, a significant change in appetite or body weight, difficulty sleeping or oversleeping, easily agitated, loss of energy, feelings of worthlessness or inappropriate guilt, difficulty thinking or concentrating, and recurrent thoughts of death or suicide. In order for one person to be diagnosed with depression, they need to have 5 or more of these symptoms during the same 2-week period. A common question about depression is what causes it. Many things can cause it, such as a lack of serotonin, hormonal changes, genetics, or even simple life events or stress shown in Jean Jordan after the death of her younger brother from leukemia. Some physical behaviors that can be noticed in people with depression could be avoiding eye contact, slow or increased body movement, monotonous voice, prolonged low mood, restlessness, irritability, a delayed response, or being distant from people. Approximately 14.8 million American adults are affected by depression in the United States alone by age 18 in a given year. That's about 6.7% of the American population. About twice as many women than men suffer from depression. 1 in 5 women are diagnosed with depression, however, men tend to ignore symptoms or refuse treatment. Up to 2.5% of children and up to 8.3% of adolescents in the United States suffer from depression. Research shows that depression emerging early in life often persists, recurs, and continues into adulthood. Research shows that depression... I just read that. Some common misconceptions about depression include it isn't real, it's all in your head, real men don't get depressed, if your parents have it, you will too, and antidepressants are all you need, you'll need medication for the rest of your life, talking about it only makes it worse, happy people can't be depressed, life events dictate if you have it or not, and it makes you mentally weak. All of these are simply untrue. Depression is a very real mental illness, and it's not just in your head. Real men can have depression because everyone and anyone can have depression. Just because your parents have depression doesn't mean that you will. There are more factors to depression than just genetics. Talking about it doesn't make it worse. Sometimes you need to let your emotions out because bottling it up is just worse. Just because you're a happy person doesn't mean you can't have depression. Anyone can get it, and most of us will experience it at least once in our lifetime. Life events are not the only factor in depression, and just because you have depression, that doesn't make you mentally weak. As I've already said, all of us go through it sometime. Common forms of treatment include medication and group therapy. There are many types of medication for depression, including SSRIs or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SNRIs or serotonin and norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors, NDRIs or norepinephrine and dopamine reuptake inhibitors, tricyclic antidepressants, MAOIs or monoamine oxidase inhibitors, and atypical antidepressants. SSRIs are the most common form of medication because there are fewer side effects than most antidepressants. Common forms of SSRIs include Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, and Lexapro. SNRIs and NDRIs are less common because of more side effects. Example of these are Cymbalta and Wellbutrin, respectively. Atypical antidepressants have a sedating effect, so they are commonly taken in the evening. A common example would be Remeron. Tricyclic antidepressants typically aren't prescribed unless you've tried an SSRI with no improvement. A common example is Pamelor. MAOIs are the least common because they require a very strict diet because they can have side effects otherwise. You can't have cheese, which sucks, but you can have cheese. Or aged cheese, excuse me. A common example is Parnate. Typically, antidepressants aren't effective on their own and are used in unison with therapy. If someone needed help for depression, there are a couple places they can go. If they felt suicidal in any kind of way, they could easily call a suicide hotline. Or if they just feel really depressed, they can go see a psychiatrist or psychologist and see the next step in getting help. And that's a brief summary of depression. Have a nice day. Not tomorrow. I've got the feeling.